Can you all remain standing for a moment of silent prayer and meditation? Thank you. We may all be seated. Good morning. Morning, honorable members. Let me take this opportunity to greet our honorable Premier, MECs, the Chief Whip, Deputy Chief Whip, presiding officers, members of the provincial legislature, leaders of political parties, the administrative team from the Office of the Premier, from Gauteng Provincial Legislature, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen, and the people of Gauteng. You are all welcome this morning for the State of the Province debate that is taking place today. Thank you very much. We have received only 2 apologies. Honorable Magene, who took ill, and I'm sure Honorable Mokwebo, you'll indicate as to who will actually replace her on the speaking list for today, and Honorable Mpisi, who is also not well. Those are the 2 apologies that have been received, and I'm sure leaders of political parties or the whips will also guide if there are any other apologies. Thank you very much. In terms of announcements from myself, in accordance with Part 4 of the Conflict of Interest Code and the Disclosure Framework for members of the Gauteng Provincial Legislature, members are required to disclose particulars of all their regrettable interests within 30 days after opening of the legislature or appointment of the member. Noting the above, all members are required to complete and submit the declaration of interest to the Office of the Integrity Commissioner at the earliest convenience, but not later than the 21st of March. I know 21st of March is a public holiday. I'm sure if we can do that, but I'm sure for those that will be able to do it online, they can still do it online, but the earlier the better. Thank you very much. I'm also informed that our former member, Honorable Ghana, is also present to listen to the debate. I'm sure he's somewhere there. Oh, there he is, Honorable Ghana. You're welcome. At least you still have an interest of this Gauteng legislature. Thank you very much. Are there any other members who want to do announcements? Honourable members, please. I'm sure Honourable Masugu, the announcement, you can do it in the House. Don't tell Honourable Kanyile alone. We also want to know what we are announcing. Thank you very much. If there are no announcement from other members, let me announce the application of the standing rules of the Gauteng Provincial Legislature that are going to be applicable for this particular sitting. Rule 80, subsection 2 of the standing rules, read with section 117 of the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa in terms of the freedom of speech. Members of the provincial legislature have freedom of speech in the legislature subject to its rules and orders. Rule 80 provides that in accordance with section 117 sub 1A of the Constitution, members must be allowed to speak and debate freely in the House and its committees as and when recognized by the presiding officer in line with the orders of the day and the speaking list. The Constitution and the standing rules are therefore fundamental in ensuring orderly debate and effective conduct of parliamentary business. The standing rules relating to order and debate are aimed at not limiting freedom of speech, but guiding the debate in the context of freedom of speech to allow reasonable and open consideration of controversial issues. And the standing rules also seek to promote the responsible exercise of the privilege of freedom of speech. Procedures imposed by the standing rules are also designed to allow this to be done in an orderly manner. Rule 77 of the standing rules, which talks about speeches and open time in debates, provides that at the end of each speech, according to the speaking list, any member, including members who have already spoken in the debate, may indicate to the presiding officer that he or she wishes to ask a question or make a remark directly related to the speech. In this instance, a member may rise at the end of the speech to indicate to the presiding officer that he or she wishes to ask a question or make a remark. Members may not interrupt during the speech to ask a question or make a remark. And Rule 77 sub 8 provides that the presiding officer must use his or her discretion to call on members to speak during open time. The presiding officer may therefore use his discretion for any member to rise and speak during this time. I repeat that one. Rule 83 sub 2 of the standing rules, a member who wishes to speak in the debate but is not on the speaking list must indicate her wish to the presiding officer by rising in his or her seat or by show of hand. You don't just mention, don't say speaker, speaker, you must just raise your hand or stand up. And this rule is only applicable if the party to whom the member belongs has free time available. If there is no free time, the member will not be able to rise under this rule. Rule 88 of the standing rules in terms of interruptions provides that members may interrupt a member who is speaking in a debate only to raise a point of order or to raise a matter of privilege or call attention to the presence of an unauthorized person. Rule 94 talks about the respect to the presiding officer. And I hope that this explanation will assist members in correctly applying the standing rules during the debates of the House. Let me therefore call upon the Secretary to read the first item.
Debate on the Premier State of the Province Address.
Honorable Msimanga.
Madam Speaker, Premier Lesufi, members of the Provincial Legislature, members of the public who are fortunate to have electricity and connection at this point in time, ke a le dumedisa. Let me start off by saying there's a train that comes from Namibia and Malawi. There's a train that comes from Zambia and Zimbabwe. There's a train that comes from Angola and Mozambique. A train that comes from Lesotho, from Botswana, from Swaziland, from all the hinterland of Southern and Central Africa. This train carries young and old African men who are conscripted to come and work on contract in the gold and mineral mines of Johannesburg. And Ndade Masekela continues to say, and when that choo-choo train comes, a chucking and a pumping and a smoking and a pushing, a pumping, a crying, a steaming and a chucking, and a hoo-hoo. That, other words...
Sorry, members, can you not disrupt, please? Please.
That was the lyrics of the famous 1974 song by Ntate Hugh Masekela, who I think has inspired the dream of President Ramaphosa, who in 2019 dreamt of, and I quote, bullet trains that passes through Johannesburg as they travel from here to Messina, and they stop at Buffalo City on their way to eThekwini. Close quote. 4 years later, we still are to smell the fumes of the bullet train engine, because in South Africa, they will not run on any electricity, electricity, they will run on diesel if we are able to then procure that diesel. But I guess that dream train has to pass back to Limpopo somehow, and that's the dream that now Ntate Lesufi is having, of having a train that will leave here in Johannesburg and then go back to Limpopo. The problem, sir, is that on the same day as you were telling us of that dream, across the road here, vandalism was continuing to take place. The lines were being stripped. The trails were being taken. And I've asked you, let us use this opportunity to deal with the basics. Let's talk to issues that addresses the most basic of services before we start to dream of big projects. Madam Speaker, Premier Lesufi delivered his very first State of the Province address this week. He told us of his commitment to accelerate the province's economic recovery and reconstruction plan. He told us that criminals will not will not have a breathing space here in Gauteng, that corruption, lawlessness, and vandalism will be declared as the enemy of the people. He further promised drastic changes to people's living conditions in hostels, in informal settlements, in townships across the province, through the provision of quality health service, through the quality service delivery that government is supposed to be giving. Sadly, the promises and the goals set out in this year's SOPA are coming from a very, very rotten and sinking ship that is desperately trying to stay afloat. Professor Dekotse dubbed this year's State of the Province address as a speech on how to spend a lot of money in the province. As they say, Premier, the devil's always in the detail. With every promise that has been made, we need to know what are the details. We need to know exactly how these things are going to be rolled out. Sadly, the details were very much lacking once again, which points out to poor planning and poor management. You promised the residents of Gauteng that you will arm them with panic buttons that will be linked to law enforcement agencies, CCTVs, and new state-of-the-art integrated command center. Where is the state-of-the-art command center? The Gauteng broadband network is still not fully operational in this province. Yet Premier Lesufi wants to issue residents with panic buttons. How will this work? Where we cannot even get the basic right. The 10111 number does not even work in this province in most of the times. And in other places, this panic button will not even work in places like Garankuwa. As I'm talking to you, Garankuwa police station is again without electricity. So if there are people in Garankuwa that then press the button, who will then begin to then respond? Given the current state of the online application system implemented for the grade 1 and the grade 8 learners, we cannot see how an panic button will actually work. Is this just another attempt at managing the falling numbers of the ANC government by dangling a shiny new toy in front of our residents? We need to be asking these questions. Currently, we are experiencing stage 6 power cuts with experts' analysis and even the ESCOM management warning us of a possible stage 7 and stage 8 outages in the near future. This means that at any given time, our residents are without power for a full day. This negatively impacts on our cell power towers to ensure that we're able to then stay connected. So, Mr. Premier, how do you intend to get this panic buttons working? This is also based on the assumption that all residents have smartphones and will be able to then make use of the proposed new device or network. Madam Speaker, it is high time that we get the basics right. We need to fix what is broken with the province, and we need to ensure that there is a master plan that I've called for a number of times, a master plan on a number of issues here in Gauteng. We need a water master plan and a water infrastructure master plan. We need a Gauteng road infrastructure master plan, and not only infrastructure to build, but also to maintain the roads here. In the questions that I was posing in Oakpole and also during COGTA, I did ask whether we do have an ICT master plan, and I was told that the ICT master plan in this province, Premier, is more than 6 years old. Now, Luciho is one who studied IT and would know that if you don't have a master plan in ICT that is upgraded, he's not complaining, so you don't have to complain.
Honourable members, can we allow Honourable Simang to continue? No, Honourable Ditlabela, you don't have to do that.
We talk of an ICT infrastructure, but yet at the same time, the answers that we got is that the ICT master plan in this province is 6 years old, which means, you see, if you don't really understand this thing, an ICT master plan that is old is as good as not having a master plan. Something you would have appreciated, because if you understand anything about IT, anything about technology, is that every 6 months the technology becomes absolute. Therefore, it means that if you had technology 6 years ago, today that technology is obsolete. You like calling people Don Cop. So I think that will apply to you at this point in time. A report. If you were to then stop calling people names, Honorable Maile, you will understand that, ICT, or maybe it's something you don't have an appreciation over. You're sitting next to a man who have studied extensively, will be able to then teach you a thing or two about that. I've mentioned the issue of load shedding that is negatively impacting our economy. We are in an economic hub of this country, and the economy is crippling and crumbling to its knees, affecting any plan that this government will have. How are we to deal with that? A report from MoneyWeb indicates that 350,000 jobs opportunities were lost in the last 2 years. Furthermore, PricewaterhouseCoopers research indicates that load shedding is undermining the economic growth, and in addition to that, is hampering South Africa's gross domestic product. For 2022, we had 208 days of rolling blackouts across the country. In order to resolve the energy shortfall, there must be a strategy that will include the usage of independent power producers, the usage, something that we have been saying to the legislature needs to be added onto the mix for a very, very, very long time, but had been ignored, by this government that has been ignorant until it's now brought to its knees. It is estimated that in 2023, 250 days of load shedding can be expected, which means that we are nowhere near turning the corner, but we are going to experience more hardships, more job losses, more people going hungry, more people unable to connect, more people that are going to be victims of crime, and more misery for the people of Gauteng and South Africa in general. Premier Lesufi has already indicated that there will be a more concerted effort to get the provinces less reliant on state-owned entity ESCOM for electricity. This we do welcome, but we don't have the confidence that this will be done, as we are skeptical of promises that have been made, and the delivery thereof is something that can actually then show that promises made in this house are not actually then been kept or also been honored. We now need to make sure that the introduction of the IPPs is something that is made a reality. We now need to make sure, Premier, that in addition to the 800 megawatts that you're promising in the West, we consider using the Vaal River system as well for the hydroelectricity generation plant. We have been saying this is something that can be looked at. That begins to then talk about how you generate electricity independently of ESCOM. Gauteng has got a number of infrastructure that can actually then generate electricity. Premier, let's look at that and look at how we're able to then bring those, get the private sector to get involved into this thing and ensure that there are people that are rolling out electricity independent of ESCOM in this particular province of ours. We have said to you, Premier, that the production of electricity and the independence of this province from Eskom is what is going to lead to its growth economically. During a heat wave, Gauteng residents are subjected to either no water or to trickling supply of water. It is for this very reason that we have engaged the South African Human Rights Commission on this matter. Earlier this year, we also engaged the Rainwater on the issue in this province. While they were able to give us a detailed presentation on exactly how they go about the maintenance needed for the infrastructure, it became very clear that there is a need to declare our water pump station and reservoir as a special zone. That means that we need to make sure that they're insulated from issues of load shedding. Now, listening to the experts in the water field, they're telling us that when you have a 20 megaliter reservoir that uses water in 5 hours, that reservoir will be less than 60% full. And if you are going to then be experiencing load shedding like we're experiencing load shedding right now, it means that that reservoir will not be able to replenish itself above 90% in a matter of 5 hours. Then load shedding kicks again, and then water is then driven below the critical level. And if you then do have that, it means that the high-lying areas will not be able to then get water because there's no pressure that is there. Therefore, we now need to make sure that when we talk about load shedding, at least we ensure that those water reservoirs and the plants that are supposed to be processing water are indeed then insulated from the issue of load shedding. I must say that, those that are now sitting without water for months and months are now beginning to feel the pinch where they cannot even go and buy water. They cannot even, get the municipality to then supply them with tankers to then give them water. We now need to make sure that we are able to then assist those, Mr. Premier. But it looks like there is no plan. As I said, if you don't have a master plan, you wouldn't know how to then assist the people. We have been proposing for a long time that what we now need to then do is to have a master plan that looks at when the Lesotho Highlands water do actually then kicks into Gauteng, we will then be in a position to then say to the municipalities, where is our infrastructure and what is it that we want to then do across? We will then be able to then ask municipalities and also the provincial responsibility in COGTA will then be to then say how are municipalities adding to the provincial master plan. That is something that we now need to be looking at. At this point in time, municipalities seems to be doing their own thing, Ntate Khumalo. We need to make sure that there is a plan that talks to municipalities and municipalities are able to then form part of the plan going forward. We want to then ensure that going forward, the water master plan, the electricity master plan, form the basis in which government is able to plan and move forward. Madam Speaker, the economy of Gauteng must be stimulated, and we agree that growth is going to need to be led in all fronts. And Premier spoke about how do we then ensure that we pay special attention to the township economic development. And we agree that this must be receiving special attention. It is for this reason that this House adopted and passed the Township Economic Development Act. This act is meant to help ensure that our businesses in the townships, particularly those that are run by our young, do flourish. But to date, we have not seen any movement on this. That's because red tape still strangles growth, and we need to make sure that we do away with a lot of red tape that is keeping our young entrepreneurs still trapped in the shackles of poverty, still trapped in the shackles of frustrations of not being able to get their businesses going. We need to make sure that these young people are able to then access funding. Young people are able to then access tender processes or able to then succeed when they do that. And this can only be done if we do cut red tape, Madam Speaker. This has been proven to be successful in the Western Cape. A decision that was taken to cut red tape so that our small businesses are to grow and make a positive contribution to the economy. Our townships still have industrial areas in Lesotho. If you go to Atteridgeville in Salisbury, there's an industrial area there. If you go to Mamelodi, in Mamelodi West, there's an old industrial area there. In Garankuwa, there's a industrial zone that is there. If you go to Soweto, in Orlando, there's still an industrial area there. We can talk about spazas, but our young people say, we want to be industrialists. We want to engage in manufacturing. We want to engage in making sure that we produce goods. We want to engage in panel beating. We want to engage in ensuring that we produce at mass and sell to the rest of the world. But what we have done is that we have allowed our industrial parks to deteriorate instead of investing in them, refurbishing them, and then handing them over to these young people who are yearning to be part of the industrialist world. We have an opportunity here, and as I said, we already need to take care, and we do have basics that we should be taking care of. I'm giving you that these are some of the things that you need to be studying at in order to ensure that we get young people to get their businesses going and to create meaningful employment in our townships with the existing infrastructure that needs an assistance from the Gauteng government. In terms of funding of the NGOs and the NPOs, the Premier speaks of more than 2 billion rand that is being made available and actually received by NGOs and NPOs. Yet we are on a daily basis inundated with complaints from the NGOs and the NPOs who are not receiving the money that they need to help the most vulnerable. That is something that needs to receive a lot of attention, Premier. You have NGOs and NPOs for a reason. They are there to try and be an extended hand for where government cannot be able to reach. And if they are frustrated for not receiving their funding or their promised funding on time, this creates a lot of problems down the line. We cannot neglect the most vulnerable of our people by not making sure that our NGOs and our NPOs are indeed paid on time. You spoke about how we then need to ensure that there is money allocated to building new schools. And this is the step in the right place because we have been calling for this for a very, very long time. But we need to then say the building and the pushing of building for new schools is not something that should then surpass or should then ensure that there's a neglect of the existing infrastructure. In Atteridgeville, there are 2 schools that have completely closed down right now. In Mabopane, there's 2 schools that have completely closed down right now. In Mamelodi East, there's a school that, as I'm talking to you, is being vandalized and is actually then being destroyed brick by brick. Why? Because those infrastructure have not been maintained for a very, very long time. And we're sitting with a problem where now teachers, parents have to now look beyond the 5-kilometer radius to try and get their kids to schools because in the same areas where the school infrastructure is, we have failed to take care and maintain those same infrastructure. So as much as we want to welcome the proposal for building of new schools, but let's have a plan in terms of how we maintain our existing infrastructure so that we don't have to replace, but then we can build going forward and add on to the capacity that we do have. That is something that we want to then deposit to you. For a very long time now, we have been calling for you, Mr. Speaker, have been calling for a lifestyle audit to be conducted on members of your cabinet and also on officials. Shortly before you took over, your predecessor indicated that there will be finalization of this lifestyle audit. In your SOPA speech, you indicated that the State Security Agency was used to conduct the lifestyle audits and that no conflict of interest was found. Where exactly is this report? Should this not be made public? It was indicated that the new MECs will also undergo a lifestyle audit. The question is, why haven't they done so since last year when you appointed them? Why was the process not started? That is something that we would want to know. Earlier on, I mentioned that funding has been made available for the building of new schools. But I also want to re-emphasize that the schools like Maibuye, Clinic in Mansfield, and other infrastructure, the libraries across our provinces are actually then suffering a lot because of lack of maintenance. How are we going to be dealing with that? The clinic in Maibuye and the clinic in Mansfield, sorry, as I've indicated, has been under construction since 2015, Premier. It is yet to be completed. A commitment was given again, this to prioritize the health and the well-being of our residents who live in townships. Madam Speaker, the Premier said to us that a lot needs to be done to make sure that we turn the situation around to provide quality healthcare to our people. How can we ensure that the situation turns around when contractors who are doing their work are not being paid on time, or actually then do not meet the deadlines when they are actually then paid, or even sometimes overpaid for the jobs that they are doing? Another contractor is then sought out when the contractors are paid and then run away with money. And then more money is needed to be found to ensure that we complete the project, which could be completed within the initial time frames if we do our master plan properly. We do ensure that there is proper management plans, project management plans in place. These are some of the things that we need to make sure that your administration look into going forward. Premier, you speak about the e-tolls, and you say that they are now supposedly scrapped. But the reality is that this is not the case until all the residents of Gauteng are told where exactly the money, the 30% of their portion is going to be coming from. One thing I would want you to ask, and perhaps come and bring the residents of Gauteng into confidence about, is if you look at the debt since its inception, more than 11 years ago, the debt up to now hasn't reduced, but there has been collection. So if Gauteng is going to get 30% of the original debt, the question is, what has been happening with money that has been collected thus far? That's number one. Number two, if we are going to be talking about ensuring that we are going to be maintaining some of these roads, where is the money going to be coming from? Are we going to be cutting projects? Are we going to be stopping the building of, example, the Kempton Park Hospital, the Tembisa Hospital, the Oliver North Bosch Hospital that has been promised? Where is the money going to be coming from? Are we not going to buy the rest of the 4 choppers that you spoke about? Where is the money going to be coming from? Not only should the residents be told of where the money is going to be coming from, but the residents must also know how is the refund going to take place, as you said. We have asked that it is going to be complicated, and what we have seen government able to do is that this government is able to then spend much more in administrative costs than to actually then implement, as we would have seen now with Sandral. Are we going to have another billion that is going to set to administer the payback of those monies? How is all of this going to flow in together? That is some of the questions that the people of Gauteng are asking of you, Premier Lesufi. There is a sign of a sinking ship here. We know that the captain does not abandon the ship even when it is sinking. But in 2024, it will be time for the ANC to say goodbye. As you would have heard the brass band playing when the Premier arrived, singing, "It's time to say goodbye." They were playing that song significantly and adequately to ensure that a message is sent across that not only have you not run out of plans, but you've also run out of money. This province doesn't have money, doesn't have any plans to make sure that we're able to do the work that needs to be done. There's something that is said about an empty tin. You can then talk to the rest of what it said about an empty tin. But I want to then say to you that in 2024, the ANC will have to join the brass band as time to say goodbye is sung for the last time, and you all are moving out of Gauteng, and to ensure and give way for a coalition and a party that is able to ensure that government is able to provide services for the people of Gauteng, where there will be a master plan to ensure that load shedding becomes a thing of the past, where we'll make sure that the province fights crime and not just have dreams about ensuring that we are able to then bring safety to our people. There will be a plan that will bring municipalities to work together with the provincial government to provide the best services to the people of Tshwane, where the economy will be moving in the right direction, where ultimately government will be able to then account to those that have elected them. The days of arrogance are fast approaching. The days of arrogance are fast approaching to an end, and we will make sure that at the end of the day, we sing twang twang twang, more than 30 years, you failed to change the fortunes of the people of Gauteng. More than 30 years, you have promised a better life for the people of Gauteng, but all that you have delivered is more unemployment, more misery, more fears of people that don't know if their kids leave their home, will come home not being raped, not being abducted, more people that are killed through gangsterism, more people that are not able to access electricity, more people that are not able to access quality drinking water. This is the legacy of the people that will look and remember you by. And I want to say to you, Premier, you have just about 12 months to redeem a little bit of respect and dignity back by doing half or even a quarter of what you've promised the people of Gauteng. And we've said here today how some of these things can be done, and hopefully you will be able to then implement some of these things, and then perhaps you will be then seen in a much better light than your predecessors. And that will mean that the ANC on its way out can look at you and say, Ntate Panyaza Lesufi, at least you have given us a little bit of dignity on our way out. I thank you.
Honorable Makubela.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, presiding
Sorry,
officers.
Honorable Makubela. I have noted there's a hand at the back. You must mention the rule, Honorable Kanyile.
I'm standing on Rule 77.5.
Okay.
Just two things. The first one is a comment, not a question. I think we need to correct the language here because there's a difference between promises and commitments. What we heard on Monday were commitments, and let me tell you what commitments are. Commitments are when somebody says to you, I've already done this, and I'm now continuing. That's a lot of what we heard from the Premier on that day, and those things are already commitments. The second thing I want to raise, Speaker, is
Honorable
that
Kanyile.
I'm not sure if we have
You
to,
only make a short remark or...
Yes, 2 minutes, yes.
No,
It's short, that's why it's the last one, Speaker. That I'm not sure if the Premier really should listen to... You remember when the ANC was in government, was in power in the Tshwane, they introduced Wi-Fi for the people of Tshwane, but somebody who's sitting in this house stopped that thing. So I'm not sure if the Premier should listen to the advice from them. Thank you very much.
Honorable members, order. Honorable Msimang, please. Honorable Makubela.
Madam Speaker and Madam Deputy Speaker, presiding officers, Honorable Premier Comrade Panyaza Lesufi, the leader of government business, the Deputy Chair of the ANC, members of the Executive Council, Deputy Chief Whip, honorable members of the Provincial Legislature, the newly sworn-in members of the EFF and those of the ANC, comrades and the people of Gauteng. Honorable Msimang, after you were elected as mayor of Tshwane in 2016, through a coalition government that had the EFF and other parties in it, I received a call. It was a call from our former teacher who taught us maths and science, Mr. Mangena. He called and said, Leseho, I'm told that the person who has just been elected is a former student here in Solridge High. I said, yes. He further said, I don't remember him. I've been a teacher here in this school for 25 years. And then I said to him, if you look, if you check in one of the years, he came second in a beauty pageant. Mr. Mangena replied and said, I don't even remember who won the beauty pageant last year. Madam Speaker, led by the global champion of human rights, the African National Congress, our people fiercely opposed, fought, resisted, and conquered 300 years of colonial misrule. Led by African kings and chiefs, Sekhukhune Qatshwayo, Intsamushweshwe and Ngungunyane, our people fought with all they had to confirm and wrestle their humanity from brutal and murderous settlers who stole their land and possessions. Under the guidance of the South African Communist Party and the labor movement, our people triumphed over a repressive system of white settlers who played God over African lives. Inspired by the courageous, fearless heroines of our country, women such as Ruth First, Rahima Musa, Cecilia Makiwana, Lillian Ngoyi, Florence Ribeiro, Miriam Makeba, Winnie Madikizela Mandela, Amina Kachali, and Aida Mtwana. The women in our country shattered the glass ceiling and freed both white women and black women who were held back by an ideology of white males who did not believe that they are who believed that they are superior because of their skin color, and who also believed and still do believe that they are superior because they had a penis. Today, because of these women, more than half of the members of the executive are women. More than half of those represented in this house, which used to be a house of men, are women. And most of them are from the ruling party, which has assembled a caucus that represents the demographics of this province and this country, where we have whites, Indians, blacks of all tribes, and inspired, Comrade Premier, by your SOPA, which was dedicated to Emma Saterhe, who sacrificed his life and whose memory, and together of those of a generation, paid the ultimate price to nourish the tree of our freedom. The youth of our country stood up and defeated Bantu education. We have fought, we have triumphed over, we have conquered, and we will overcome load shedding. What the DA forgets to tell our people was that ESCOM was not built for African people. That the power stations that were built, they were built to service and cater the minorities. That the power stations that were built by ESCOM, they were built to service farms of white farmers, and it was only Mandela when he came and ensured that everyone receives universal access to electricity, both black and white. Madam Speaker, the tenacity and resilience of the African people is best defined by their ability to reconcile with those that committed black genocide, plundered the resources of our country, stole our land, raped African women, and subjected Africans to draconian laws. In a song, the songstress Thandiswa Mazwai says, "The world changes, revolutionaries die, and the children forget," close quote. Madam Speaker, the Democratic Alliance and its coalition partners believe that the people of Gauteng suffer from selective amnesia. The DA and its coalition partners believe that the people of Gauteng have forgotten about Marietta Ocampo, who was the real mayor of Tshwane, who called the shots, who chaired the mayoral committee, and who earned millions without even a matric. Madam Speaker, the DA and his coalition partners believe that the people of Gauteng and the people of this country have forgotten about Stephen De Villiers, whose only qualification is a bodybuilder certificate, who earned millions only from just carrying the bags of the mayor, who was just a profile picture of the Democratic Alliance. Madam Speaker, the DA and its coalition partners believe that the people of Gauteng have forgotten how well ran, how successful, and how the ANC-led government was able to deliver services when it ran the city of Tshwane, when it ran Johannesburg, when it ran Ekurhuleni. Today, Honorable Speaker, Speaker, I'm being interrupted here. Yeah, I'm being interrupted here. Can I be protected?
Honorable members, I'm sure in terms of the rules you don't disrupt, but I will also request Honorable Khumalo and Honorable Maile as well to be orderly.
Madam Speaker, the DA and its coalition partners have forgotten a song which was sang by Lady Smith Black Mambazo, who traversed the world to broadcast the pain and suffering of our people. When they said we are homeless, the strong winds of hatred and apartheid have destroyed our home, close quote. We responded, the African National Congress responded, and we built 1.5 million houses in Gauteng alone. And we've built new settlements which were good for human habitation. Madam Speaker, the DA and its coalition partners, they believe that our people have forgotten what the former spokesperson of the DA said when we announced an ambitious Gauteng project. The DA statement read, and I quote, the Gauteng project is another project of the ANC, is another vanity project of the ANC. It is a pipe dream and it will never see the light of day, close quote. That's what you said. Today, you are one of the most loyal users of that Gauteng. A year later, after we converted what you termed as a pipe dream to the reality, the DA again released a statement through their former member, who was the spokesperson. It says, and I quote, "The decision by the ANC Gauteng-led Department of Agriculture, Conservation and Environment to approve what you termed the unsightly overhead section of the Gauteng through Centurion is shocking. Centurion residents now face a hideous concrete steel sky bridge that will scar the landscape for more than 4 kilometers. Read the DA statement, close quote. That's what you said. And you said that you had the authority to speak on behalf of the people of Gauteng and Centurion. Today, that pipe dream and vanity project has become a reality. On education, in this very same house, this is what one of your leaders said, who was the architect of the DA and Freedom Front Plus, a prominent Transvaal leader, J.N. Leroux, who said in a member statement in this house, and I quote, "We should not give black people any academic education. If we do so, who is going to do manual labor in the white community? Who is going to attend to our gardens? And who's going to look after our children and clean our houses?" Amen. Close quote. Honorable members and Speaker, on April the 20th, 1964, the 45-year-old Nelson Mandela said to a courtroom, and I quote, he said, Madam Speaker, that in 1964, only 5,660 African children in the whole of South Africa passed their junior certificate. And in the same year, only 362 passed matric. Let me tell you the stats of this year. In what you term a government which has betrayed its promise to the people of this province and to the promise that it has betrayed to the people of this country. Let me tell you what is happening this year, Honorable Msimanga. On the number of people who pass matric, in 2022, a staggering number of 194,720 learners wrote and sat for their NSC examinations. And of that number, 58,119 obtained bachelor passes. That's what is happening in a government that is progressing, the government that is delivering and that has become honest to its people. In a journal that was commissioned by the University of Witwatersrand, in a journal that was commissioned by Wits University, and an independent study by professors who investigated and researched our education system in Gauteng, it said the following:
Time up,
It
time
said
up, time up,
in
Speaker.
1945, the apartheid government
Honorable
spent
Makubela, thank
76
you.
rand on white students.
Thank you, Honorable
And it
Makubela.
spent 7
Honorable
rand and 78 cents on black students. We
Honorable
have more than
Makubela.
quadrupled that amount. Honorable Premier,
Honorable
the
Makubela,
ANC
time up.
approves
Time up.
and accepts
Oh, we are
your
making noise. Hey,
pragmatic,
man.
innovative
Honorable Makubela.
state of the province address. Thank you very much.
Honorable Makubela. Time up. Time up. Honorable members. Honorable members. Honorable members. Honorable Mudise, Honorable Mudise, Honorable Macheke, Deputy Speaker, can I have order, please? Thank you. Honorable Bosch, Honorable Mukwebo,
77.5.
Honorable Mukwebo. No, please. Please. Honorable Mukwebo. Honorable Mukwebo.
77.5.
Honorable Mukwebo. Honorable Bosch.
Thank you. Wait, sorry.
Honorable Msimango, you are disrupting Honorable Bosch.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I want to rise in terms of Rule 77.5 to make a comment, please.
Go on.
I just want to congratulate Member Makubela on the other side for preparing for the opposition benches after 2024's election, because his entire speech was just as a reaction on the DA and not about the SOPA debate.
Honorable Bosch. Honorable members. Honorable Bosch, I'm sure what you raise has nothing to do with Rule 77.5. In future, but your comments should be related to the speech. It's not a generic. Can I allow Honorable Masoleng? Honorable members, please, why are you excited? Can I allow Honorable Masoleng on behalf of Honorable Makhene?
It's my time now. Thank you, Speaker. Sit down and shut up. It's my time. Thank you, Speaker. And I would like to greet everyone in this House.
Honorable members. Sorry.
Speaker, allow me to
Honorable Masoleng,
demonstrate.
can you sit down a bit?
Thank you.
I just want to warn Honorable Mukwebo. Honorable Mukwebo, can you correct your language? There's no nonsense in this House.
What are they doing? But
Honorable
order,
Mukwebo.
Speaker.
No, honorable members, please.
Order.
Honorable
Madam
members.
Speaker, on a point of order.
Honorable Tlabela, I'm sure it's the last time. Honorable Tlabela, I'm sure it's the last time I warn you.
Speaker. On a point of order, Speaker. On a point of order, Speaker.
Honorable Mhlagaza Malam.
Order, Speaker. Speaker. On a point of order, Speaker. On a point of order, Speaker.
Honorable Deputy Speaker. Honorable Deputy Speaker.
Madam Speaker, can we call order? Madam Speaker, can we call order?
Honorable members.
Madam Speaker.
Honorable members, Deputy
Madam
Speaker. Deputy Speaker, I'm not expecting that from you. And I'm sure that is going to be for the last time. Chief Whip. Honorable Makubela. Honorable Makubela. Honorable Chief Whip of the ANC, can I request that you put an order on your members? Can I come back? Honorable Mukwebo, before you, Honorable Makwala, before you. Honorable Mukwebo, can I request that you withdraw the words that you use in the House? Honorable members, Honorable Msimango, please. Honorable Msimango, I'm trying to instill order in the House and they're all busy making noise, and I'm going to really implement the rules. Honorable Mukwala, I've noted you. Honorable Mukwebo, I'm actually addressing you. You can't use that language in the House. Can you withdraw, please? You spoke about nonsense. That language is not acceptable in the House.
Speaker, there was no sense. They were interrupting the maiden speech.
Yeah, but you can't. Honorable Mukwebo, are you deliberately ignoring my instructions?
Order, Speaker.
Before the order, can you wait?
No, before Honorable Mukwebo.
Can you wait?
Before Honorable Mukwebo. You are not going to take advantage of us through your majority. It's not going to happen. Honorable Mukwebo, Honorable Speaker, please recognize me.
Okay.
Please recognize me. Honorable Speaker, please recognize me. First. Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker.
Chief Whip,
Honorable
there
Speaker.
are two members of the ANC that I'm going to actually ask them to leave the House. Honorable Makwala.
I'm rising on a point of order to request
Which
you
rule?
as the Speaker.
What rule?
I'm rising on a point of order.
What is that rule?
Rule 86 that allows you
No, there's no rule 86.
Rule 89.
That's a wrong rule.
I'm rising on Rule 89. It's a point of order.
Honorable Makwala, can you sit down, please?
I'm rising on Rule 89. It's a point of order.
Okay, can you listen to the point of order?
Yes. The first point of order, Speaker, is that you are not consistent. The first point of order, Speaker, is that you are not consistent. You're allowing members of the ANC to continue speaking while they are not recognized. Second to that, Speaker. Second to that, Speaker. Honorable Mukwebo.
Why man sit down? Whoa, why man sit down?
Greater ECD.
Honorable Makwala, can I read? No, can I read? Or can I? Whoa. Can I read?
Let me speak.
No, can I read Rule 89, what it says?
Okay.
Can you sit down?
Mindful of our time.
Rule 89, points of order. A member may raise a point of order to call the attention of the presiding officer to a breach of order. 2, when a point of order is raised during a debate, the member who is speaking must stop speaking and resume his or her seat. After the point of order has been stated, the presiding officer must immediately make a decision or indicate when a decision will be made.
We are on 89.1. We are correct.
Honorable Koma, for the past 6 months, you've not been attending business of the legislature.
Speaker.
Pole, pole.
Speaker, you are not consistent, Speaker. Honorable Speaker.
Can you pole?
Honorable Speaker, you are not consistent. You are not ruling. You are not ruling. You are actually repeating what your members of the party are saying.
Honorable members.
You are repeating what your members of the party are
Honorable
saying.
members.
Are you the Speaker? Honorable Speaker, you are not consistent. You are not going to be bullied by my email in the former Kulen.
Yeah.
You are an artificial prime minister here.
Honorable Speaker.
Madam Speaker.
Honorable members.
Madam Speaker.
Honorable members, the only member that is allowed to speak now is Honorable Makwala.
Yes.
Yes. Whoa. Honorable Makwala.
You are not consistent. You are continuously repeating what your seniors politically are saying, and you are not calling them to order. And that is actually reducing you to become an actually deputy speaker. And you are not doing justice to this house. Because you are allowing even the premier to speak, to misbehave, to call others when it's not necessary. And my point of order, second one, is that Honorable Mukwebo will not withdraw unless the deputy speaker, the real speaker, sitting with a yellow dress, withdraws her bullshit to a member of the EFF. So Honorable Mukwebo will not withdraw. And if you are going to take a decision to suspend or remove him, you must start with Honorable Lisiu and Honorable Lawan Mai. This is not the ANC house, it's a legislature, and it's not controlled by your party members.
Honorable members. Honorable members. Honorable members, can I make a ruling? Honorable members. Honorable members, can I make a ruling? Honorable members.
Madam Speaker, can I please ask
Honorable members.
You are not rigorous.
Madam
You will
Speaker.
never be rigorous.
Honorable Makwala, I allow you to speak. Honorable members of the ANC, can you behave? I must still make a ruling.
Madam Speaker, can I please request for a
No,
caucus?
can I make a ruling? Can I make a ruling? There was a point of order. A point of order was made by Honorable Makwala, who said the Honorable Speaker insulted members of the EFF. Let me start with that ruling before I come on the issue of Honorable Mukwebo. Honorable Speaker, did you use the words of saying, Deputy Speaker, did you say bullshit? Okay. No, honorable members, I'm addressing the Deputy Speaker. Remember, I can make a ruling on this particular matter. Because I did not hear her, I will come back with a report because I will check. Mamela, Honorable Masilela, are you listening to me or are you looking at the Deputy Speaker?
No.
Honorable members, I will check with Hansard whether that has been said and I'll make a ruling tomorrow on this particular matter. Honorable Makwala, on the second issue around issue of Honorable Mukwebo,
Do the same.
we are not going to speak on his behalf because he is a member and I'm addressing him directly. Yes. And I ask Honorable Mukwebo to withdraw the word nonsense. Honorable Mukwebo, can you stand up and withdraw that word?
No. Honorable member. Yeah.
No, Honorable Makwala.
Point of order.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, but that one must be tomorrow. Refer to Hansard. Refer to Hansard. Refer to the Hansard.
Chief, you must still be orientated here. You must still be orientated here. You can't just really need to stand up and speak.
Hansard.
We are refusing this thing.
Hansard.
Noted, Honorable Makwala.
Yes.
That's what I'm doing.
Yes.
That's what I'm doing.
Yeah. We are
Honorable
deputy
Mukwebo.
members here. Our deputy MPL.
Yeah.
Honorable Speaker.
No, Honorable Makwala, but I have not allowed you to speak.
Okay.
Honorable members, I have noted that the EFF has a new leader who is only going to be inducted after this meeting. Because some of the issues that he is raising has nothing to do with what is before the sitting. What I'm going to request is that we are going to suspend the sitting for 5 minutes, and can I meet all party leaders in my boardroom? Thank you very much.
And train him there in the boardroom. Train him. Train him there in the boardroom. Moshe's new strikers now.
This one. Thank you, thank you. You can sit, honorable members. Can we sit down? Thank you very much. Honorable members of this honorable legislature, we had to ask for the adjournment because we could see that the decorum of the House was being compromised. And we spoke with leaders of political parties, and I'm going to address them, ask them to actually address the House, because as leaders, they must lead with us as presiding officers. Honorable Makubela.
No, thank you very much, Madam Speaker. On behalf of the African National Congress, we profusely apologize for the conduct of our members. And we believe that we will not do anything going forward to impede on the decorum of the House and also to undermine through our conduct a well-delivered State of the Province address by the Premier of this province. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Honorable Msimanga.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the people of Gauteng are calling on us to come up with solutions, and quarreling here and disrespecting each other here is not really going to be part of that solution. And then we are pleading, and we are saying from the Democratic Alliance's side that we want to see progress being made. We want to see the debates and constructive engagements taking place here, and we're committing ourselves to ensuring that that happens in this House. Thank you.
Honorable Alberts.
Madam Speaker, yes, we need order in the House, and thank you for adjourning so that we can talk about this. My members normally make a lot of trouble, but today they behaved themselves. One is not here, and Member Hoffman is quiet. So we will stay quiet for the remainder. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Makwala.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I will be using mine, but it's not working. I don't know what is happening. But on behalf of the party, after deliberations with your good self, we have resolved to apologize unconditionally for the decorum of this House.
Thank you very much. Colleagues, we'll now continue with our debate. Oh, sorry. Honorable Adams.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. My members have been very respectful. But let me apologize on behalf of all the other members and ask that we respect the decorum of the House. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you very much. Colleagues, I want to remind you that the speaker that will be speaking, it is her maiden speech, and you all know that with the maiden speech. Oh, okay. Honorable Dlamini.
On behalf of my caucus, I would like to accept the apology unconditionally.
Thank you very much, Honorable Dlamini and your members. Thank you. Let me therefore request Honorable Masoleng to debate on behalf of Honorable Makgene, and I will plead. Remember, colleagues, howling is allowed, but as soon as the presiding officer make a ruling, you need to abide by the ruling. And before Honorable Masoleng, Honorable Kweba, I think you are still on the podium, where I requested that you withdraw that language that you use in the House. Honorable Mukwebo.
Thank you very much, Speaker. I withdraw.
Thank you. Honorable Masoleng, you can therefore speak.
Thank you, Speaker. Speaker, allow me to demonstrate the dishonesty of Premier in his maiden address. Some of us are staying in the townships not in those suburbs with boom gates guarded by private securities. There are no sports Wednesdays in our township schools. They failed to build sporting facilities in the township schools. Now his misguided over-ambition is directing him to ECD centers. How will he start sport development at ECD centers when they have failed to develop sports at both primary and secondary schools? HMPG in Mamelodi and many other stadiums in the province remain white elephants. Now he wants to go and roll out artificial pitches in the dusty township grounds. The support of schools with supporting attire and equipment must be extended to all township schools to develop sports. That is the only way to achieve transformation in sports, which remains deeply racialized. The Premier could have focused more on the need to be given the early childhood development, which is accompanied by a properly coordinated universal curriculum and plan to prepare learners with basic reading, writing, and numeracy, as research shows that children perform better when they have begun learning from as early as 3 years. The Premier must set his priorities straight and refurbish all abandoned sporting facilities in the province. He must conduct an oversight across the province and inspect all existing sports grounds in the townships and schools. As far as health is concerned, the Premier conveniently omitted to accept that our public health system is collapsing. There is a shortage of staff, there is rampant corrupt, and Tembisa Hospital is a case in point. Medical professionals are forced to leave due to constant harassment by hospital management. Over 32,000 patients are still waiting for critical surgeries in Gauteng hospitals. The department is failing to place medical interns and have decided to release them from their contract so that they can look for work elsewhere. The cost of using the Gautrain remains high, and majority of our people cannot afford to use the train because of its exorbitant fare. Moreover, there is no integrated transport system as only Gautrain users are using its bus services. Our Gautrain residents are not allowed to use the Gautrain bus services. The Gautrain budget is forever increasing because it is allocated billions each year, each financial year. Yet the majority of the poor use unsafe taxis, and now trains are not fully operational due to vandalism, risking their lives every day just to get to work and back home. The problem of sinkholes in Kutso is not new. We have been asking questions and requesting clarity in this very house regarding these sinkholes. There is no need to declare a state of disaster. There is no need, I repeat, to declare a state of disaster. The immediate solution is for Gauteng provincial government to relocate this community to safer places in the province and build them houses. There are incomplete and unoccupied structures across the province, such as the more than 11 billion Montrose megacity project in the West Rand, which had been there for many years. There is no plan at all to complete this project. Speaker, the people of Gauteng need service delivery now. This can no longer be postponed. As if load shedding and power cuts are not enough, the residents of Gauteng are consistently confronted with water reductions or water cuts. Some communities in Tshwane municipality, as well as in some parts of the Johannesburg municipality, are constantly without water. Mfuleni is beyond repair. This one municipality has totally collapsed because it cannot even process salaries of staff. Yet the ANC continues to boast about building mega and smart cities when they fail to save Mfuleni. Lisufi SM, my daughter. The Premier is stating that to solve the energy crisis in Gauteng, his administration will be releasing 1.2 billion towards the construction of 800 megawatt solar farm in Mirafong in the West Rand. Speaker, this is a clear signal that the ANC-led government has given up on Eskom. They are saying, not in so many words, that their intention is to privatize this power utility. As the EFF, we shall never allow the privatization of this public entity to enrich private capitalists called independent power producers. Not in our lifetime. We shall defend Eskom with our lives. And this is not just a promise, but a commitment. A commitment, Speaker, not a promise. South Africa has an abundance of coal reserves that can last this country for decades, if not for centuries, to generate energy from in order to power our ailing economy. We cannot be dictated by the US and Western imperialists who have ran out of coal and now selfishly want the whole world to resort to the green energy. Establishing rehabilitation centers for drug addicts without addressing the root causes of the problem is futile. Government needs a more comprehensive approach to tackle drug abuse in townships. Although drug abuse is a social crime, the root cause is mainly poverty, joblessness, and lack of adequate skills development centers in the township. The lack of affordable rehabilitation centers is worsening the problem. Social development must identify communities that have a drug problem and provide affordable rehabilitation. Moreover, unless youth unemployment is tackled in a more comprehensive way, our youth will continue to be victims of drug because their government have failed them. Speaker, all that the Premier said on Monday during SOPA is just hot air and sheer grandstanding with a mixture of political showboating. Inganekwani on steroids. Classic Lesotho SM. Buffett, we invited the people of Gauteng to reject these reactionaries in the next year's elections. A luta continua. Thank you, Speaker.
Honorable Bloom. Oh, sorry, there's a hand. Honorable Modise.
Speaker, I'm rising on Rule 77.5.
Okay.
I just want to check with the member if she's prepared to take a question from such a beautiful, well-written, well-articulated speech.
Honorable Masoleng, are you prepared to take a question? Okay, she's not. Thank you. Honorable Bloom. Honorable Bloom.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the Honourable Premier observed correctly that the public health system in Gauteng is the largest and the most significant in South Africa. Unfortunately, what he couldn't say is that it's the best quality provincial health system because every year the Auditor General gives it a terrible report. It's been a problem department for every Gauteng Premier with endless promises of strategic task teams and turnarounds. Our new Premier devotes only one page in his speech to this critical department. Now, I agree with his advocacy of computerization to fix long queues and improve efficiency, but as usual, there's an appointed contractor with a shady history who won't be able to provide the health information system that is needed. And this follows a long history of failed computerized attempts. Do you not all remember the health smart card that Brian Schlongwer promised 15 years ago in this House? You see, the sad truth is that this department doesn't have the skills to modernize effectively. There are still too many incompetent and corrupt people at the bloated head office. Babita Deokaran tried to change things, and she was murdered. This department reminds me of Eskom. It's what you get with many years of cadre deployment and the flourishing of internal criminal networks. The two seem to go together. You can call it the Eskom syndrome. It's very difficult to reverse because the political party that caused the disaster cannot be the one to fix the disaster. You know, there's a reason why the only health system that gets clean audits is in the one province, not run by the ANC. And you know, it doesn't help in this context for the Honourable Premier to promise new hospitals, 4 hospitals he's promised now, in Olivenhoutbosch, Diepsloot, Davidson and Orange Farm. I just want to remind everybody here that 9 years ago, the then Minister of Health, Aaron Motsoaledi, promised that a hospital would be built in Soshanguve. What's happened to that? That was 9 years ago, and there isn't even a completed plan to build it. We must also understand that some existing hospitals are in such bad condition that they are supposed to be replaced. This is what we've been told. It includes the Tambo Memorial, Yusuf Dadoo, and the Jubilee hospitals. And half of the 37 hospitals are currently assessed as not compliant with the Occupational Health and Safety Act. Just think of that, not compliant with the Health and Safety Act. It's estimated that 8 billion rand is required to rehabilitate the existing hospitals. So where is the money to come for the new hospitals? And how will they be staffed and equipped? We should realize that this is the same provincial government that was unable to repair the Sharp and Kheke Johannesburg Hospital, which is now being done by the Development Bank of South Africa. And it's the same provincial government that wasted 500 million rand in a hospital building it didn't even own in a dangerous and far out place in the West Rand. You all know I'm referring to the Anglo Ashanti Hospital that was opened with great fanfare by Premier Makura in May 2021. Now, the decision to open this hospital was a collective decision by the Provincial Executive Council, so the Honourable Member Lesufi is implicated in this as well. He was there. Why didn't he speak up, or any other member of the Executive Council? And I did warn about this at the time, you were all here, as well as the other wards that were built for the COVID crisis that were in the wrong places or never completed. And I want to say to you, this is actually what happens when a department is infected by the virus of Eskom syndrome. Not just the COVID virus, we have other viruses out there. And this is why more than 36,000 patients suffer while they wait for surgery, sometimes as long as 5 years. Now, I just want you to imagine, you could go to Chris Hani Baragwanath Hospital today and...
As this administration, we spoke of transformation, modernization and reindustrialization. And when you look at this speech, this State of the Province address seeks to say we must continue with the work we've started of transforming our townships. We must continue with the work to modernize them. We must continue with the work to ensure that there is reindustrialization, which must propel the township economy. And of course, township economy does not have... The second plan we have is on the energy, which we shared with the sector last week, and we've always been having...
Sorry,
okay,
Speaker.
Withdraw lying, it's fine, sit down. The second one
Speaker,
is on energy. Energy
point
security.
of order.
Can I hear that?
Speaker, point of order. The word lie is unparliamentary.
Okay, it's fine.
You can never accuse another member of lying.
Honourable Maile, whoa. Honourable Member, you don't just... No, but Honourable Sibong, I'm speaking to the member there. Honourable Member, before you say rules of order, you just mentioned the name of the rule, ne? But I hear we are raising a point of order because you feel that Honourable Maile might not have used the correct language. And Honourable Maile is not referring to a person. He doesn't say you are a liar. That's different. Honourable Sibang, I'm not speaking to you, please. When you point at... Honourable Member, I'm still addressing you.
Madam Speaker, a word lie
I'm
is actually
ruling.
it's not appropriate.
Honourable Member, I'm ruling on the... And if you feel that my ruling is not correct, there's a rules committee. Make a point in the House that you are not happy, then we'll discuss in the rules committee. That's how you manage the process. Thank you for that. Honorable Maile.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. The members comes here and tells us unfruitful things. Because on the energy security, our strategy, once again, has got 6
we are posing.
pillars. No, don't worry, I'm not distracted by this.
No, just.
Means they are
No, remember,
definitely-
I'm managing the House.
Yeah.
Can you pause for that? Honorable Koma?
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I'm raising on Rule 89.1.
Okay.
Madam Speaker, it has come to our attention that there's a lack of consistency in the House. When our members raise a point of order, they are referred to which rule. But others here just raise their hand and go straight to their points. Honorable Member, just right now, you have afforded him an opportunity to speak without referring him to which rule is he rising on. I can see if it's or is in your own genes or what is happening. So there's a high level of inconsistency in this House. So if you
We note
Please.
your concern, Honorable Koma. Honorable Maile, can you continue?
Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Speaker.
The provincial government has plans.
Honorable Masoleng.
Speaker. Speaker, I'm sure o tlameha go stop go botsa gore na re rema on which rule because I don't know the rule books as we sitting here. We don't have a rule book yet. We are going to induction. Mamela go na re tlo reng. Wena o tla re ke rule mama. Maybe wena you need to tell us which rule is that. Thank you.
Okay, noted, Honorable Masoleng. Honorable Maile, can you continue?
Thank you. So in summary, we have plans, and I can take you through all those plans. And having said that, Honorable Msimang and the leadership of your party that side, you will know, having been a mayor, a failed mayor in Tshwane, you will know that bulk infrastructure primarily is not a competence of the provincial government, is the competence of the municipality and national government. However, because we understand the importance of this province and because we've got a vision, we have put these plans in place and we've also allocated resources. We could have taken an easy way out and said, this is not our competency. So, and by the way, I can take you on the Constitutional Court ruling that you have not read. We were what is it? So Honorable Speaker, to claim that the Western Cape is doing well is false. Because firstly, you can't compare Western Cape and Gauteng for a number of reasons. The first reason, in terms of population, 1. The second reason, our contribution in the economy. We contribute by far more than Western Cape, about 34%. If you look at education and you look at the student numbers, there is no province that has got bigger numbers except KZN, am I right? Yeah. Except KZN. But when you look at the actual figures and numbers, Gauteng is doing well in all these different areas. Member Bloom is trying to compare our health system, which, by the way, has got 4 tertiary institutions, the only province in the country. The only province that has got the biggest hospital in the southern hemisphere. How do you compare it with such a small province that is incompetent, that has failed, that is not delivering services to the people of Langa, to the people of Kukuletu? They are only delivering services to the few white minority suburbs. So you can't compare the two. So, Member Msimang, you are talking about the 2 billion and NGOs. The Premier never said 2 billion is going to fund everybody. In fact, if you are listening, you would have heard the Premier correctly saying, we as the provincial government, we are worried about the impact this 2 billion makes in our communities. Hence, as the provincial government, we are going to audit how these NGOs are utilizing these monies. Because some of the NGOs are your friends, your relatives, and most of them are wide-run NGOs which have been benefiting before 1994 and they continue to benefit. So we want to redirect these funds. That's what we are going to do. And you know, the lifestyle audit, we did a lifestyle audit. Member Nell says Premier will not arrest or charge any of his who are his colleagues? We are his colleagues. We have gone through a lifestyle audit. There's nothing on us. So what do you want the Premier to do? The Premier and the Executive Council has acted consistently and decisively. There are senior officials who have been charged, who have been disciplined, because the Executive Council has said we must be decisive and we must act, which is what we have done. The reports you are referring to, all those reports have been released. In fact, I was even in a press conference with the Premier at the Gautrain offices when we released the reports. Go to News 24. They even ran series of stories about the reports. So the reports have been released. The fact that you are ignorant, it can't be my problem, because you don't know what's happening in society. We have released the reports. The next issue that we have said we are going to do, which the Premier has raised sharply, is the issue about unfinished and incomplete projects. We are worried about this ourselves, and the Premier has raised the issue in November. Because we are scientific in our approach, we have decided to look at what are some of the factors that contribute towards this problem. And in the next 2 weeks, I think three HODs, about 4 HODs, will be giving us a comprehensive report on how best we deal with this. Because there are internal issues, there are external issues. Some of those external issues include business forums, they include incompetent service providers, and many other issues that we will be dealing with. The issue that
Thank you, Honorable Maile. Honorable Maile.
Point of correction.
Yeah, thank you. Honorable Maslela.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'm rising on Rule 8.
Honorable members, can we listen? No, Honorable Msimang, can you listen to Honorable Msimang? To Honorable Masilela.
Okay.
So 27.5.
Thank you, Speaker. I'm rising on Rule 80 of freedom of speech. I like to help the MEC that he must stick to the script so that he cannot always. Thank you.
Honorable Masilela. Honorable Masilela. Honorable Masilela, just leave Honorable because I'm addressing you. We are disturbing Honorable Masilela. She wants to listen. Honorable Koma, you are disturbing Honorable Masilela. She wants to listen. Honorable Masilela, unfortunately, the rule that you mentioned under this section is not applicable. Next time, use Rule 77. Honorable members, Makwala.
On a point of order, Speaker.
Have you recognized me, Speaker? Am I recognized?
Yeah.
Yes. With respect to Speaker, can Honorable Maile take a question?
Okay.
Yes.
Honorable members.
I'm not going to be asked that question by Maile.
Honorable members, the procedure is when a member wants to make a rule, I need to, because remember we're recording, I need to ask Honorable Maile whether he is taking the question. Then after response, I will address the member. Sit down in the meantime. Okay, Honorable Maile will take a question.
Yeah, I think, Honorable Speaker, thank you. The Honorable Maile.
Honorable Nell, that is not allowed.
The Honorable Maile says, his colleagues are not corrupt and the Premier cannot find anything on him. Can he, because he took the speech out and tried to respond as the real Prime Minister, can he speak on the issue of Tembisa, where his administration or his colleagues ordered 500,000 for skin jeans?
Honorable Maile. Honorable members. Honorable members. Man. Can we allow... Honorable members, can you allow Honorable Maile to respond?
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. In English, a colleague is a person you work with. Ne? So the colleagues of the Premier is the MECs, the colleagues of the Premier. So the CEO and the officials who work in Tembisa, those are employees of the provincial government. So I'm saying to you, Mushe, you know the CIC won't be happy with your behavior, ne? Behave.
Honorable Maile, don't respond to a person.
So I'm saying that the Tembisa situation, Honorable
Makwala, yeah.
There is no colleague of Akuna Musumi more wa Premier Oshuman Lena Odile Bubodu Ntweki Bulala Kayon Kurina Shuman li Premier Reacceper Ibile Pampi Dibona Ditile Reacceper Kintweki Bulala Kayon Namukoni Reaccepero Ikwishisha Mkoni Torela
Thank you very much. Honorable members, that concludes the debate. Honorable members, that concludes the debate for today. Honorable Rally Huku. Honorable Rally Huku, please. Honorable members, that concludes the debate for today. The next sitting will be tomorrow on Friday, the 24th of February at 10 hours sharp. The House is now adjourned. Thank you.
Hi. Mm. Absolutely. Yeah. So it's investigations.